Welcome everyone to another episode of Riz Talks. I'm your host Riz, and I'm glad you've joined me today as we explore some pressing questions about who we are and how it impacts humanity. Our motto is to think again about our views in the light of facts, statistics, and true history. Not take for granted what has been narrated. There are always more sides to every story. Here we challenge the way we see the world and ourselves. How has our history, both personal and collective, shaped our beliefs, our biases, and our choices? Do the things we hold to be true even matter in the grand scheme of humanity? Today's topic is tackling tariffs. Terrible tariffs or terrific tariffs? First, a basic understanding of the key terms. Revenue is income generated by the government, primarily through taxes, fees, and the sale of government services. Includes indirect taxes on fuel, liquor, GST, which is general sales tax. Then, expenditure means the money spent by the government on programs, services, salaries, infrastructure, and running of the government. Budget is the financial plan that estimates government revenues and expenditure for a specific period. So, if the budget is not balanced, we have a debt. Debt is when high levels of expenditure is not matched by sufficient revenue from the government. Money borrowed by the government then from domestic or international sources is debt. Large government debt can lead to higher interest payments, diverting funds from other essential services for the people. Options are either reduce the liability by selling national assets such as land, buildings, infrastructure, and financial investments or institutions, or add to liabilities, which creates a financial burden for future generations. By borrowing money, that is done by selling either government T-bonds, the treasury bonds, which mature 30 years after they are sold and make regular interest payments to the buyers, called coupons, and repay the original loan amount, the principal, at the end, which is called maturity. Or short-term selling, which is T-bills, mature within a year and pay less interest than T-bonds. The government's rating is important for selling these bonds. So accounting is reporting and analyzing past and present financial data, how much has been spent. Finance is raising money for the future growth of projects. Fiscal policy is the use of government revenue, which is taxation and expenditure spending, to influence a country's economy. Now we talk about recession. Recession is economic decline, during which trade and industrial activity are reduced. People losing jobs and not spending or saving as they don't have enough money is part of recession. The response is lower the taxes and increase spending to stimulate the economy. Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time, so the value of money itself. It means the cost of living is going up, or the same amount of money can buy less. Response: higher taxes and reduced spending to cool the market. The government actually has very few levers. They can buy votes by starting new projects in certain places, thus adding jobs, healthcare, education benefits to reward people. This is your money being given back to you in different forms. So, can either be by high taxes for the rich or stealing from the poor and giving to the rich. Low wages and benefits for workers is one example. We don't need so many billionaires. The disparity between the have and have-nots has increased and continues to do so. Now, what do reserve banks do? They are supposed to be independent and manage monetary policy, mostly setting interest rates, which impacts the currency value, promotes employment, stable prices, and so on. In some countries, guarantee bank deposits to ensure the financial system's stability. So there's no run on the banks or the economy could collapse. We hear a lot about GDP. It's the total monetary value of all finished goods and services produced within a country's borders during a specific time period. It's a key indicator of overall economic health. And finally, now tariffs. Tariff is a tax or duty imposed by a government on goods that cross national borders. So, known as import duties or customs duties. This increases the price of imported goods, making domestic goods more competitive. Governments use tariffs to raise revenues or to protect local industries from foreign competition. For instance, on cars, electric cars, impose higher duties on imported cars so they can sell more of the cars that are produced within the country. Kinds of tariffs range from most favored nation. This is between different countries. Could be bilateral tariffs between two nations. Could be a free trade area where countries eliminate tariffs among themselves. Could be group tariffs, customs unions. Member countries eliminate internal tariffs, or could be a common market. Free movement of labor and capital in addition to a movement of goods. Then there's the economic union, such as the European Union, by adding a common economic and monetary policy to a common market. Could be the common currency. Let's think again. Historical context of tariffs shows that it produces no winners. Taxation on poor was necessary to support the emperors, kings, and aristocracy, especially for wars which cost an arm and a leg, literally. This led to revolution in many parts of the world. Fact is, there is a big economic change as the old rich economies of China and India, which were the biggest 500 years ago, are being exploited and colonized. Now, in partnership with Brazil, Russia, and South Africa, BRICS plus countries are having an influence on the world economic order. Countries rich in resources but still poor, as in Africa, are looking to change the way they do business. Before the steam engine, the world economy was mostly stagnant, and after the steam engine in the 19th century, growth was under 1%. In the 20th century, collectively over the world, it was under 3%. Now, we are expecting artificial intelligence after the digital revolution of 4.0. It can surpass 20 to 30%, as most tasks done by humans are taken over by machines, and thereby increasing efficiencies. Old ways of world finance with travelers' checks, letter of credits, and sale of oil, etc., are not being traded in dominant global currencies anymore. For now, the IMF estimates the tariff war could reduce global GDP by 0.8% by 2026. This means less jobs as less production. The global south is challenging the global north. The growth is not going to be linear but exponential with AI, and the country that leads in AI will have higher GDP and be the global leader. Now, the solution to tariffs is revitalizing the World Trade Organization dispute resolution system, multilateral negotiations between various conflicting countries, removing non-strategic tariffs that hurt consumers more than protect industries, using mutual recognition agreements, the MRAs, instead of broad tariffs, strategic cooperation called cooperation, where joint research and development and trade in clean energy, pharma, ecosystems is benefit for everybody. It improves the ecosystem and therefore helps even the consumer and the producer. Investing in domestic industries, subsidies without distorting global markets is an option. Supporting workers through retraining and social safety nets instead of relying solely on protectionism is another option. The tariffs sound patriotic, but businesses rely on foreign goods. So these tariffs make production more expensive. Result, higher prices for the consumers. A 2021 study by the Peterson Institute found that tariffs have cost the average household more money to maintain the same lifestyle. You cannot grow and manufacture everything in any country for various reasons. So if you don't grow bananas, don't put tariffs on them. Simple. They'll just increase the cost of bananas. Some countries that are spending more than they are earning with higher debts and higher debt repayments is not sustainable, especially in countries where the rich are benefiting at the expense of the hardworking class. You cannot dig yourself out by raising tariffs. All countries trying to start or sustain wars, even if they have minutiae as a way of earning. Countries that have invested in the future, whether it is infrastructure, energy, resources, technology, healthcare, and well-being of their citizens, will lead the way in the future. Let's game this out. Best case scenario, find a way to balance tariffs with smart trade deals, inflation chill-outs. Worst case, escalating tariffs spark global retaliation, manufacturing costs skyrocket, and we're staring at a global recession. But for now, there are significant downside risks such as slower global growth, high costs, that means inflation, investment uncertainty discouraging new investments, trade fragmentation reducing overall efficiency in global economy. So while a full-blown global recession is not imminent immediately, regional slowdowns or sector-specific downturns, especially in manufacturing, are already evident. Times have changed as the complex global supply chain impacts many industries. A new commercial aircraft may be assembled from parts and components sourced from over 10 countries, who in turn may depend on parts or raw materials from other nations. This isn't just a trade war, it's a techno-economic Cold War. The side that masters AI, energy transition, and supply chain resilience will dominate. So, tariff wars, unnecessary escalations impact humanity. The rich countries and billionaires, particularly tech giants, must stop exploiting the poor countries and average citizens, as it adds to human suffering. Rich nations should stop political sanctions as limit supplies and increasing the cost of living expenses for poor citizens of that country. Millions of people have lost their lives because of sanctions globally. So, are tariffs leading us into a global recession? Maybe, maybe not. But one thing's for sure: when governments meddle in trade, expect some turbulence. The best thing we can do: stay informed, vote wisely, and if things go south, well, there's always barter trading. Long term solutions require balanced diplomacy, trade reforms, and domestic competitiveness strategies, not just tariffs. We are already in stagflation, higher prices, low growth, as supply chains balkanize. Experts estimate a 55% chance of recession as early as 2026, but certainly by 2029, the world will be in a recession if we continue on this trajectory. The World Bank warns it could shrink global trade by up to 7%, equivalent to the 2008 financial crisis. Well, thank you for joining this podcast. Are we leaving a legacy of humanity and kindness in business, in government spendings, in tariffs? It's now time to act. People speaking collectively are the biggest force for change. This is Riz Talks. Be curious, be kind, and come back for more. Thank you.